Welcome. Today we're diving straight into the heart of the Bhagavad Gita, right onto the battlefield of Kurukshetra. We're going to explore 5 absolutely crucial verses where Lord Krishna gives his dear friend Arjuna some of the most profound advice ever spoken. Advice on selfless action, on duty, and ultimately on spiritual freedom. So let's get right into it.
Just think about that for a second. This question is the very core of Arjuna's problem. I mean, he's a legendary warrior, a hero, but the people he has to fight are his own family, his teachers, his cousins. It's an impossible choice, and he's completely paralyzed by it. And Krishna's advice starts by tackling this head-on, not with some distant philosophy, but with something incredibly real and human. So where does Krishna start? It's fascinating. He doesn't begin with a lecture on the soul. He starts with something we can all understand: reputation and the deep, personal pain of dishonor. All right, let's hear the verse itself. This is from chapter 2, shloka 36. Avachya vadams cha bahun vadishanti tavahita, nindantas tava samarthyam tato dukataram nukim?
Wow, that's just so direct, isn't it? Krishna is basically saying, Arjuna, just picture it. If you walk away now, your enemies will have a field day. They will tear you apart with their words and mock everything you stand for. Can you think of anything more painful than that?
So the key insight here is that Krishna's first move is a masterclass in psychology. He's pointing to that universal human fear of shame, of having your name dragged through the mud. And for a warrior like Arjuna, whose whole identity is built on strength and honor, public dishonor is literally a fate worse than death. It's a powerful wake-up call. Okay, so after laying out the terrible cost of not acting, Krishna does something absolutely brilliant. He completely flips the perspective and shows Arjuna why doing his duty is actually a total win-win situation. And this is all laid out in the very next verse, shloka 2.37. Hato va prapsyasi swargam, jitva va bhokshase mahim, tasmad uttishta kaunteya yotaya krita nishchayaha. The logic here is just crystal clear. Krishna lays out the only 2 possible outcomes. You're either slain in battle or you're victorious. And then he frames them both as a victory. It's incredibly powerful. You see how airtight that argument is? For a person who is acting according to their duty, there is simply no losing scenario. Whether you live or die, a noble outcome is guaranteed. The only real failure is to shrink from that duty. It's an amazing call to action, all built on this win-win premise. Okay, but you might be thinking, what about the sin of it all? Arjuna's biggest fear wasn't just about winning or losing. It was about the terrible karma of fighting his own kin. And now, Krishna gets right to the heart of that fear, introducing one of the most transformative ideas in the entire Gita. And the answer he gives? Well, it's a real game changer. Let's listen closely to shloka 238. Sukha dukhe same kritva, laba labo, jaya jayao, tato yodaya yujaswa, naivam papam avapsiyasi. There it is, that's the secret, the core instruction for what we call detached action. It's not about what you do, it's about the consciousness and the intention with which you do it. The core idea is to act without being attached to the results. You fight not for the glory of winning or to avoid the pain of losing, but simply because it is your duty. When you can treat those opposites, happiness and distress, victory and defeat, as the same, and you offer up your action to a higher purpose, well, the action itself becomes purified. It no longer creates that heavy karmic baggage. Now, this whole philosophy of acting intelligently and consciously, it actually has a name. And Krishna is about to formally introduce Arjuna to this transformative spiritual path. It's called Buddhi Yoga, and Buddhi means intelligence. So this isn't about just blindly following orders. It's the yoga of intelligence, of consciously connecting your actions to a divine purpose, without getting all tangled up in the results. And in shloka 39, Krishna makes this shift official. He basically draws a line in the sand and says, okay, Arjuna, pay close attention, because we're shifting gears now. Esha de abhihita sankhye buddhir, yoge the vimam shrinu, buddhya yukto yaya partha, karma bandham prahasyasi. Did you catch that? You can hear the transition right there in the verse. He's literally saying, okay, I've given you the analytical knowledge, the theory. That's called Sankhya. But now, listen up, because I'm going to tell you how to actually apply it. We're moving from the what to the how. So just to recap this really important point,
We started with Sankhya, which is the knowledge, understanding that you are the eternal soul, not the temporary body. And now we're moving into Buddha Yoga, which is the practice, how you live that knowledge in the real world to finally break free from the chains of karma. It's the bridge from knowing to doing. Okay, this all sounds great, but what's the catch, right? What if I try this whole Buddha Yoga thing and I'm not perfect? What if I only make a little bit of progress? Well, that's a very real fear, and Krishna addresses it with what might be the most reassuring and beautiful promise in the entire Gita.
And here is that beautiful promise in Shloka 240. Nehabhikrama nashosti prachavayo navidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat.
What an incredible guarantee. I mean, just let that sink in for a moment. In this endeavor, there is no loss. This has got to be one of the most hopeful and encouraging verses you will ever hear. Think about how different this is from anything else in our lives. You know, if you build a bridge 99% of the way but don't finish it, you have nothing. It's the failure. But on this spiritual path, Krishna promises that every single step, no matter how small, is a permanent gain. It's never wasted. And even a tiny bit of sincere effort gives you real protection from the greatest fear of all, the endless cycle of birth and death. And that really is the heart of it. If we were to boil these 5 verses down to one essential message, it's this. Act with everything you've got, with total determination, but then let go of the outcome. Surrender the results to a higher purpose. That right there, that is the path to real freedom. And this incredible, timeless wisdom comes to us from the sacred Vedic texts, which are the entire focus of our source for today's explainer, Gyan Kosh. Thank you so much for watching today. You know, Gyan Kosh is a really special place. It's a multilingual channel where we share this kind of spiritual wisdom in English, Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, and Bengali, and we have even more major languages coming soon. Our whole goal is to bring you the timeless treasures of Sanatan Dharma in a way that's simple, clear, and really meaningful. On our channel, you'll find daily videos on Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and so much more, all available in multiple languages. So if you find our content valuable, we'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to Gyan Kosh. That way you'll get notified about all our daily videos. And please, don't forget to like, share, and spread this divine knowledge with your family, your friends, and your community. Let's work together to keep the beautiful light of Sanatan Dharma shining bright.